Clove, the spice, could only be found on 5 microscopic islands in Indonesia, known as the Moluccas, until 1511. Despite being native to only those islands, 4,000-year-old clove buds have been excavated from the banks of the Euphrates, and Han Dynasty emperors used the spice to sweeten their breath. 400 miles south of the Moluccas are the Banda Islands, and these islands were the only islands on Earth where you could find nutmeg. Spices were truly the first global commodity, and in certain parts of the world, they were used as currency, worth far more than gold. And often, by the time these ingredients reached Europe, after traveling through literally thousands of hands, they'd be marked up by 1,000%. By the Middle Ages, Europeans grew tired of paying Muslim merchants for these two spices that they so desperately craved. But there was one huge problem. Europeans really had no idea where these spices came from. They only had a vague idea once Marco Polo's travels had been read all across the continent, and he'd written that these spices had come from China. He wasn't wrong in that they traveled through China before they got to Europe, but they got to China by way of Indonesia, where islands had their own trading systems via canoe-like boats. But in the 14th century, this dude visited Java, and he reported back to Europe that these spices lived further east than previously thought. And then this dude said that he visited the Moluccas and the Bandas, and that he had cracked the code in 1505. His account essentially went viral in Europe, and by 1511, Portugal sent out 3 ships to search for the islands that grew clove and nutmeg. That very year, Vasco da Gama reached this important port city in Malaysia, and the Portuguese violently captured it. I happen to be in Portugal right now on the island of São Miguel, and look at what I stumbled upon today. The Spanish and Portuguese would enter into a 16th century battle in order to control this region, and these 2 separate island clusters would become known as the Spice Islands. In just 6 decades, Spain would go from marginal to a massive world superpower. And if you're curious where these 2 tiny European nations got the money to fund these huge expeditions, check out my playlist on the Spanish Inquisition. These 2 minor Portuguese nobles participated in the taking of the Malaysian port city, and became best friends when this one saved this one from an ambush. And both of these men would essentially abandon loyalties to their Portuguese king, Manuel I, in favor of basically creating their own fiefdoms via the spice trade. And this guy is better known for a name that he adopted later on, Magellan. This is what I'll be covering next as I make my way through Roger Crowley's book, Spice. And as always, thank you for watching.